Oh, it's so messy. messy, messy. I'm a little nauseous today. Just a tiny bit. Should have put those clothes on. Oh, my eye still hurts though. Somebody see me doing this. What's that? yesterday. Wallet, keys, water. Good to go. doesn't mean anything. Like a given name. This place is pretty locked. Today I'm going to work on Blue Cross and selling my car before the snow gets here. Oh man, what's going on? have swore it was a different color.
You know, for a lot of us in these coastal communities, that's sort of like our backyard. People thought this poor young man lost his mom at sea. It was this heroic survival story, and it was a real feel-good story. But then the public sentiment started to shift from, wow, this is an amazing, miraculous survival story, to, this doesn't seem right.
We had a great family back then. We all came together.
We all got along. We were all happy with each other. And I was making terms. It just changed for everyone, forever.
Nathan Carmen's mother is missing and is presumed dead.
Lost at sea during a fishing trip.
Nathan is at the center of this all.
Boats don't just drop out from under you the way he described it.
In the middle of the ocean is not a safe place. What had happened was just a severe accident.
This isn't the first time tragedy has hit the Carmen family.
Nathan's grandfather was found dead in his home of a gunshot wound to the head.
The wounds were so severe that you can almost barely make out what could have caused it. I said, whoever killed him is probably sitting in his room right now.
I have a problem. You were the last one to see Grandfather.
Right off the bat, there should not have been an interrogation. People on the autism spectrum are frequently misinterpreted.
You know, if you're different, you're probably bad.
Nathan was seen as the low-hanging fruit, the easy mark.
All this happened because of greed. Because of one person's greed.
According to the government, he planned all this.
Oh, greed. It's like the source of so much evil. That's why
Situations just didn't want to be.
I try to live my life where I don't need money. Because I don't want to ever like have it
I've asked
lead to
myself, did I
hurting
do the
someone.
right thing? I know at the time what I was thinking was my mom occupied while I'm trying to fix the problem.
Did you have an argument with your mother on the boat?
No,
Did you have a fight with your mother on the boat?
no,
Did you kill your mother on the boat?
no.
Did you sink the boat intentionally after you killed your mother?
Objection, compound question.
hypermedication.
Boaters off the coast of Rhode Island and today.
An update now on a mother and son who haven't been seen since they left South Kingstown on Saturday on a fishing trip.
The Coast Guard received finds an overdue vessel in South Kingstown, Rhode Island. Nathan, Carmen, and his mom, Linda, had inside the water. When they didn't return, there was concern about significant concern.
This person, 52-year-old Linda Carmen and her 22-year-old son Nathan Lynch never returned to the fishing trip in Long Island on Sunday.
They would go on all these fishing trips, and just like any other time, they were going to ship out of Rhode Island. They were in there. She thought they'd be back the next day around noon. Linda was supposed to call me around 12, 9 o'clock. Between 4 and 5, I realized she hadn't called. Right? So I called the police. I guess the Coast Guard called me after that. And I gave them the information, and they started their search right away.
The Coast Guard searched the waters off Block Island and then Long Island, meticulously combing 60 square nautical miles, an area larger than the state of Georgia.
We had negative results on day 1.
Today, the Coast Guard expanded that search to finding a mother and her son.
Day 3.
There is still no sign of Linda and Nathan Carmen or their boat, the Chicken Pox.
Day 4. Day 5.
So they've expanded their search to an 11,000-mile area off Montauk.
After 6 days, search is called off.
You have to stop searching. That really upset me. And we just
Holy
took a
shit.
little vigil to hopefully wait for her news that she was found.
On Sunday afternoon, a remarkable development. The U.S. Coast Guard says a freighter spotted Carmen floating alone in a life raft 100 nautical miles south of Martha's Vineyard.
Nathan, this is United States Coast Guard Boston.
Yes, I hear you.
Yes, sir. I need to understand what happened.
There was a funny noise in the engine compartment. I looked and saw a lot of water. Those dropped out from under my feet. When I saw the life raft, I did not see my mom. Have you found her?
Of the 2 boaters missing, only 1 came back alive.
Carmen's mother remains missing and is presumed dead.
I would just like to thank the public for their prayers and for their concern for both my mother and for myself. I feel healthy. Emotionally, I've been through a huge amount.
Lost my whole life, but other than that, he's doing well. When I went and picked him up, I got my arms around him, and I think he put his arms over my shoulders. And I didn't want to let go. Nathan wanted to go to his house. He wanted to be by himself, which did not surprise me. You could tell, even though he's not verbalizing it, the inability to have saved her, I think, was riding on him immensely.
Man. That's so
For
sad.
the first time, we are seeing Nathan's rescue from the perspective of the crew. It's an amazing survival story. This is pretty remarkable. He was on the sea for 7 days.
That's the things that really hurt. Is like I felt that with Roxy. I felt like I could have saved her. To this day, it hurts so much worse. Just thinking I could have saved her. If I just would have taken her to get a checkup.
In order to survive.
That was the hardest part about losing Roxy.
After the first day, I tried to regiment myself. Food packs said to eat 4 per day, so I was spacing that out throughout the day. I was trying to focus on keeping myself hydrated. I did spot the Orient Lucky around midday.
As a writer, I found Nathan's story really intriguing. I live near the ocean, live along the coast of New England, and, for a lot of us in these coastal communities, that's sort of like our backyard. People thought this poor young man lost his mom at sea. It was this heroic survival story, and it was a real feel-good story.
So did he
But
actually
then
do something?
Public sentiment started to shift from, wow, this is an amazing, miraculous survival story to, this doesn't seem right.
The captain of the cargo ship that saved Nathan Carman says the 22-year-old seemed healthy when he was rescued and did not appear to be suffering from dehydration, hypothermia, or anything else.
Circumstances like this don't happen very frequently. 7 days in a life raft floating at the continental shelf, that does not happen frequently at all. In my 26-year career, this is the first one.
This is a picture of Nathan after he jumped out of the life raft into probably 7,000 feet of water, and he's able to kick and swim to the life ring that's lowered to him. And he's able to hold on to it, and then he's able to get up onto the accommodation ladder, which, you know what?
Very difficult situation. None of us really know what he went through in being a suspect. Most of that is due to their lack of ability to discern his demeanor as autistic. Because of his autism, because of his ability to be alone, Nathan, of any individual that I know, could have coped with being lost at sea. And I'm sure he used all his ingenuity in those 8 days.
Oh.
Prior to Nathan returning, we actually executed a warrant at Nathan's house to try to determine where they were going, what their intention was going on this trip.
Oh, that's stomach ache.
Trying to find out if Nathan had any intent to do any harm to himself or his mother. We searched his house and we searched his vehicle. We found some concerning documents. This one's titled, "Why I'm Reluctant to Cooperate with the Police. Emotionally, I'm not sure that I can bear another interview." And he goes on to say, "Philosophically, the idea of proving one's innocence repels me." The next is, "Generally, the police are a corrupt and often criminal organization." It's unusual. I have to say, in all my experience, I've never come across anything like that. It further confirmed our suspicions that he had some type of, ill will upon departing on that fishing trip with his mother.
I don't think that really says
Myself
much.
and another investigator, we meet with him. Very surprisingly, he agreed to speak to me. Take me through what happened.
My mom and I went to Stop and Shop, and I got something to drink. We drove to the parking lot. Got around Point Marina. We loaded the cooler in the back of my truck with bait in it onto the boat.
Nathan had mentioned that he had bought bait and things of that nature. He did buy eels. We found eels used for fishing in his truck, which is, obviously interesting and concerning to us, because while he intended to use the eels to go fishing, why would he leave the bait in his truck and not bring it on the boat?
What time did you leave the marina?
I think we left the marina around midnight.
After you headed
I think
out,
they're kind of
you
putting a lot of
decided to
dots
change the
together.
plan and go to the canyon.
They're connecting dots that maybe, I don't know.
And that's a much longer trip, right?
Yes, going to Block Canyon is a much longer trip than going in the vicinity of Block Island.
The decision to go another 60 to 70 miles offshore is not a place for an inexperienced boater. It's not something that you do without a tremendous amount of preparation.
When did you notice that the chicken pox was taking on water?
The engine sounded different to me, and I opened the hatch floor of the pilot house and observed a large quantity of water in the bilge.
Did you do a radio distress signal?
I'm gonna take some pictures of the car. But oh, you know what I'm gonna do first? Like, that's not a very good picture, is it? Not a very good picture. Start using this stuff, right? Biometrics and all that good stuff. Watching people do that. I always thought, like, if there ever was a Mars mission, if there was sending to Mars, I would, like, I'd be alright. I'm starting to think about head office. Well, it's just kind of a strange feeling, honestly, like, because I don't think I actually do, but there seems to be a lot of, oh fuck, I forgot my phone. I forgot my camera! It's okay though, my eyes are not red or anything. Oh. Yeah, it's a strange feeling, man. I don't know, I still don't think I actually do have autism, but maybe I do. It's starting to look like there's some pretty compelling evidence. What am I doing here? I got distracted. Oh, I have to call Blue Cross, right? Didn't we just go through this, Google? I feel like we just went through this. Skip that shit. I get sucked into this fucking wormhole of Google password protection shit. Recovery email. You know what? Let's put on. Let's go with this. This is probably better. Fuck, I'm gonna get a notification for every email now. Very cool. Okay. 31. Can I just fucking look at my email? Is that a Hemingway? There's another one? Deal with it later. Snooze an email. And I fucking slept in a little bit today. It's okay though. It's actually not. I might have trouble sleeping tonight, but let's snooze it, man. I'm just kidding. 498-8595. Pretty sure I called this. Come on, Steven. I'm gonna figure out a different way. And do some laundry. Oh, Rough Riders. That's so cool they won. Got our necessities. Fuck, I need the keys. I need to start putting these in one spot. I like this. Oh, I like this. Shit, there's something there. Oh, fuck, man. Time. I'm taking those fucking massive prednisone. I gotta switch to Cortef, or I don't know what's going on, man. I don't feel particularly well right now. Fuck.
Did you do a radio distress signal?
No, I did not. I didn't think we were going to sink. If you know you're sinking, you always get on the radio and say distress. But I knew that distress signal wouldn't reach shore.
But it would reach other boats.
I didn't know if there were any other boats in range. So
You should try.
If something bad happens, why not call for assistance on your radio? The lack of things that were done raised questions. There's something more to the story here.
I knew what had happened was just a severe accident. And I know if Nathan had the ability, he would have saved his mother.
I'm very grateful to the friends and family who attended in memory of my mom.
You had your aunt didn't show up?
I wish very much that my whole family could have come together to pray for my mom. But I made sure that they were invited and they had an opportunity to come.
Have police told you anything about the status of the investigation in Rhode Island?
I wish desperately that my mom was rescued. I hope that she will be found.
About your relationship with her?
Now I'm going to drive off.
What about your grandfather?
I need to close my door.
Okay. And take care.
No one called me from the family. None of the three sisters, none of the cousins. Did not hear from a soul. They felt Nathan had murdered their sister.
He killed our sister, his own mother. So yeah, we didn't want anything to do with him. It was a horrid thing, just totally horrendous. What happened to our family? This whole situation is just one big Greek tragedy.
My parents had 4 daughters. Mine was older. Valerie was the youngest. And I was 2 years younger than Linda. Linda and I were extremely close. We hung out a lot, and I had a lot of fun with her. We were always there for each other. We all took care of each other. It was a great childhood. Linda was fun. She was very athletic. She was very much like my father. My father was, he was hard-headed. And Linda was also hard-headed. She had 100% of the Greek personality.
John Shackles.
I had to put boxers on for my old
pretty much a
memory.
force of nature. He was a guy that
I gotta turn on my
he was bigger than life. Worked hard his whole life.
Oh, it's like my dad. Oh, I did put it on. Fuck. Good stuff. Pictures and Blue Cross. Let's see what I can get done on Blue Cross here. Bird Lynx. I wonder where they got their name from. Hi Stephen, this is David Burko. I'm just calling to talk to you about my application for Blue Cross. It's about 2:30 right now. It's a little late in the day, but if you don't have time to get back to me today, I'll make sure my phone is with me all day tomorrow. And if you can give me a call back at 780-902-5080. Thank you. Have a good day. Pretty good. Hey, that was a good one. What is that? Bapa beep beep boop. Why will be got beeping? I would like to edit this. It's kind of difficult with this theme. It's a little bit difficult to kind of see things. Mama. I changed my clothes. That was a good idea. I can't talk about this stuff. It's sad. I do feel like cannabis is almost out of my system. It seems to really affect me.
Started different businesses, developed a lot of properties, built nursing homes, assisted living. After that, it was one right after the other.
As we got older, we got a large house in New Hampshire. It was grand.
Look at this house.
It was 20,000 square feet. We had an indoor huge swimming pool.
One summer, we had elephants there. It was out of this world.
They had
It was at that point that I was like, wow, you know, we have money.
Linda was my best friend. I knew her for over 30 years. We talked about everything. I heard so much about her background over time. All the relationships were very dysfunctional. And her father was extremely controlling. So she said, I'm going to move to California. And he said, well, if you do, then I'm disowning you. She goes, okay. And she went. She was tough. When I met her, she was in the National Guard. And she has 3 sisters back home that are the complete opposite. And here's Linda, and she just broke away.
I met Linda out in California. She was happy most of the time, except when dealing with family. Took us a while, but we got married. Her father, John, had promised if we moved back, he would develop a Dunkin' Donuts franchise for us. When we got back there, he reneged.
That's fucked up.
So she ended up having to work for her father, which was not a good situation between those two. That's how he operated. He'd like to control lives, especially his daughters, all 4 of them. He'd like to control everything.
Linda's fought with her father her whole life, back and forth, because they're a lot alike.
John was very volatile. I had never experienced violence like that in a family situation. He would physically push or slap or to his wife, to his daughter. That was the constant in Jacko's family.
Arguments, yeah, occasional fist fights, which, you know, is not normal in most families, but hey, they weren't killing each other. None of them went to the hospital.
Friday, December 20th, 2013, 13:35 hours. Central District Major Crime is at the scene of the John Shakalos residence.
It is the dark holiday season.
Early Friday morning in Windsor, Connecticut, 87-year-old John Chocolus was found dead from an apparent gunshot wound to the head. Investigators are calling it a homicide.
Elaine was the eldest. Walked in and found him literally executed in his bed.
I'm going to tell you, it's a horror show. It's definitely a horror show. The wounds were so severe that you can almost barely make out what could have caused it. You can tell there was no struggle that went on. It was basically the victim lying in the bed, gunshots to the head.
Top of his head blown off, his brain scattered all over the back of the headboard on the wall. It was beyond belief. It was beyond belief that the man that I knew my whole life, that was larger than life, and that was that he was actually dead.
It was just terrible. My father always did everything for the family. You know, my dad always said, without family, you have nothing. And now he was gone.
And then everybody was trying to figure out, oh, who did it?
Just think about money and greed.
Yes.
Thank you for coming up.
Yeah. She told me what she thought. She said, I definitely think that it was a mob hit.
One avenue was because he was in construction. Construction is sometimes linked to organized crime, and he dealt with some pretty shady characters.
You know, my dad was pretty hard-headed. He was a, shrewd businessman. When you're a self-made millionaire, or whatever you want to call my dad, I'm sure he stepped on a lot of toes.
We're getting things back from the lab, and we're verifying that the murder weapon was a large caliber weapon. Usually if it's someone that's doing a hit, it's a small caliber weapon. They don't want to make a lot of noise. Large caliber weapon makes a lot of noise. And also, they don't usually come to someone's house. Usually you disappear. Now we're verifying that this crime that we believe is a break-in is not a break-in for the purposes of taking anything. It's a break-in for purposes of doing harm to the job. Now we come to who else?
What'd I do?
Who else has intimate details of it? His family.
It's like most likely like a spouse
My dad had a living trust. So we, the four of us would get the same amount of money each month.
What they would inherit if he should pass away.
Oh man. Microsoft is pretty brutal, man.
After the funeral,
I just gotta get through this, dude. I just need to figure everything out. I think
just in case anybody was going to
keep
come.
thinking I figured everything out, but
And I'm sitting at the dinner table and we're drinking coffee. All the food's gone, and I'm sitting there looking out the window, and I go,
today's the day.
And these cops are sitting outside.
I don't know. I'm not saying it is.
I
hope it is.
Whoever killed him is probably sitting in this room right now.
That's when Nathan became a very prominent person, because he was the last to see him the night before.
Very upset. Very like it's not real.
How often
There's
do
no way Nathan
people
would ever
with that
do
kind of
to his grandfather.
condition would do that?
Adored his grandfather, and they both loved each other. I mean, you could see it from day one. Nathan was the firstborn grandson of a Greek dynasty.
Like this guy.
Yeah,
From the beginning, Nathan was number one in Grandpa's eyes. He doted on Nathan his whole life.
I hope I get a job today.
And also interfered his whole life.
Okay, watch it.
He was first diagnosed with autism when he was about 4 or 5. We initially had testing done because we didn't know what it really was. It was not in the mainstream the way it is today.
That'd be so cool to work at a vet clinic, but like not a vet clinic where there's really sick animals, like a spay and neuter clinic. That's what I'm like thinking I'm gonna work at. A spay and neuter clinic.
He fell in love with that horse. It became his best friend because he didn't really have any other friends.
It did hurt Linda when Nathan didn't have, friends and that he was different.
Psychiatrists helped to an extent, but lots of times there was interference from the family.
Everyone was perfect in my dad's eyes. And Nathan was fine. Oh, he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
I keep taking pictures of my eyes.
John was old school. John did not understand why Nathan needed help. And they used to get in arguments about it. Why do you need to take him there? Why do you need to do this?
You weren't invited. You weren't invited.
She didn't want him to have that much influence over Nathan. But as time went on, that's exactly what happened.
Now, Betsy, once in a while, things would come up. I would tell them, I'm not going to have this conversation with you. I will have it with an attorney or a therapist. I'm not going to discuss these things just one-on-one because I know where to go. You get angry and one of us storms out. There's nothing that's accomplished. So.
You seem like you're having like no friends.
Right. Yeah.
Meaning good, but it's fine.
His heart was always in the right place. It's the way he was.
There had been some question as to Linda's whereabouts during the window of the time that the homicide would have occurred.
You mentioned the conversation with that. So going on that, I mean, best you can in your own words. Last time you talked to him, kind of went back to what? Was it a couple days in between?
No, it was, not that I can, I don't know, I call my cell phone and I always call. It was pretty much a daily thing.
We were able to get location history from various cell phone providers. Linda was exactly where she told police that she was. Linda could not approach her.
Oh man.
Hey, you want our water or something?
He's a couple.
When he came in, our lobby, we get to talking, he introduces himself, I introduce myself, and then he started to kind of break down and cry and get kind of a little out of control, and then he blurts out, how can I calm down when I just found out my grandfather got his head blown off? And the mother finally got to calm him down. But that statement kind of struck me because who of our investigative team let that out? No one ever let that out.
When you received the phone call, did she share the manner of death in which your grandfather passed?
I still don't know the manner of death which my grandfather passed. Obviously, from the circumstances that the way you seem to be treating this murder or suicide is what I deduced. But I know that you're calling it suspicious because that's what Valerie said. But No, she just said that he passed.
Could have figured it out.
Been interviewing people for my entire
Maybe
career.
that's
Always
kind
thought I
of
was good at it.
that's something you'd want to like
For emotion,
look into for sure.
For things that you know you have the right person type of thing. And with Nathan, you didn't get the normal reads. Did you ever actually get money out of the controller? Or?
Yes, he's the only person I ever knew who would yell at me for not asking for money. It was very generous.
The hair on the back of my neck raised. And in other words, my meter was going off that this guy's...
Honestly, I don't see how...
He may be a player in this. His affect isn't right. And throw out all of whatever challenges he
think
had
of like
through autism or whatever. His affect isn't right.
Right off the bat, there should not have been an interrogation. He never should have been in that room to begin with, because people on the autism spectrum are frequently misinterpreted. Ethan
I feel like something like that happens with me.
Very, very
It kind of makes
distant
sense.
terms.
It's like
And he responded in a way that was not only robotic, but because he was giving detail after detail, almost seemed cold and calculating. That, in the eyes of some law enforcement, may be, if you will, a tell that they're guilty.
I really don't like speaking against my mom. I don't think that she would ever have anything to do with whatever happened to my grandmother. But she did tell me on one occasion, I don't think she used the explicit word hate, but said something, so I asked, does that mean you hate him? And she clearly indicated yes. But I really don't like speaking against my mom. I just don't think that she would do anything. But they had a strange relationship.
They questioned me about my movements, what I did, my relationship with them. Then they throw in a question about Nathan. Then they would ask me about John's business associates. Was he doing this? Was he that? And then it goes, and what did they throw in? Well, what about Nathan? Where was he? What was he doing? It always kept going back to him. They'd ask 3 questions, and the 4th one would be about Nathan.
I'm going to be honest. I have a problem. Let me explain. I have my problem, and I'm not speaking.
Did they change the color of his sweater?
Is that you're the last one speaking, and that bothers me. As an investigator, that bothers me because I don't have anyone else that would put his grandfather. But
well, you're misunderstanding. That is incorrect. I saw my grandfather. We went to dinner. We had a good time. We got back. I left. I think 8:30 somewhere there. I expected to be hearing, calling the next day to say how we did fishing. Instead, when we got back from fishing, Joy called us. He was
According to Nathan, he had dinner with my uncle. Because they had a dinner, there was, they didn't get into any arguments. They went their separate ways. And then he said he met with his mother to go on a cod fishing trip at 3 o'clock in the morning.
But there's a problem. It was about an hour that he's unaccounted for. Around the time that we think maybe the homicide's happened.
Nathan was supposed to be meeting Linda that night, and he was late.
Well, why were you over an hour late to get to your mom?
I don't think I left my apartment until after 3. I'm not positive what time I left my apartment, but I definitely left it very late.
So as we're going through it, some of his story didn't add up.
If I'd taken the exit on the south side of Hartford, I would have gone right over the Connecticut River, gotten off the first exit, and basically been at the parking lot where my mom and I were supposed to be. But I ended up getting off the wrong exit, and they turned around, and then I
mistakenly took the exit on the north side of Hartford to go over the Connecticut River. And then I realized pretty quickly that I was turned around.
He said he got lost. Well, who gets lost going to their own spot where they tell you where to go? I don't know.
You got lost? It's, 3 o'clock in the morning, and there's not too many ways to get lost.
I mean,
the story is that he got lost off the highway. I'm not really sure what happened with all that, but it doesn't give him much of an alibi.
And your testimony is your mother's in an empty parking lot at 3 o'clock in the morning and you didn't call to tell her you're going to be late?
I know that I was rushing, trying to get there on time.
She called you 4 or 5 times at that hour, didn't she?
I can't testify to that. I don't believe that either.
Windsor Police Department, their narrative, reading glasses. This is troubling. The neighbor said she heard gunshots at 2 in the morning. And we can account for Nathan at 2 o'clock in the morning. Meaning Nathan Carmen did not kill John Chocolates.
At 2 a.m., Nathan would have been at his apartment, and that is corroborated by surveillance. If the loud bang that the neighbor heard was, in fact, a gunshot, and she didn't have the time wrong, then Nathan has an alibi.
I suggested to put the family through some polygraphs.
Yeah.
It was explained we don't use polygraphs in a court of law. Law enforcement, we use it to clear people, which the family agreed to do. But who didn't take the polygraph? Nathan. Nathan wouldn't take the polygraph.
Why not?
There was some pushback from Nathan's mother.
Maybe because
she ended up taking it.
We talked to her for about an hour, and you ever get that sense of someone wants to tell you something? She wanted to say something.
Interesting.
When I took the polygraph, they asked me, did you murder John Chocolates? I said, no. They go, do you know who murdered John Chocolates? I said, no. And then Linda took it. She took it a few times. I think she failed it. Second time she took it, it was inconclusive. When I get to the question of, do you know who murdered John Chocolates, I don't think she could ask that question. After the murder, Charlene and I talked. She didn't say, I think Nathan did it. What she said to me was interesting because she said, my sister Linda knows more than what she's saying. That's what she picked up on.
Sisters decided to put up billboards from the area of the highway that was Nathan traveling in all the time for Linda and Nathan to constantly see my dad's face. To finally tell us or the police that Nathan had killed my dad.
If Linda really thought that Nathan killed John, I would have heard something in her demeanor, even if she didn't say it to me. Like there's more of something. There's more of the inner tone of her feeling. I didn't get it.
Linda was very protective over Nathan, and I think she'd protect him at all costs. It makes you wonder if at that point Linda could have been trying to make amends for how she handled Nathan when he was a teenager. Their relationship was very rough, and there was a lot of turmoil there.
When Nathan was a teenager, his horse Prue passed
in the horse and really developed a relationship with him. And then to all of a sudden lose that. I think Nathan lost something too.
That's how I feel with Roxy. I don't know, I can't really compare my loss to Roxy to anything else in my life.
Linda had this 32-foot camper. So he would stay in there, come in for meals. And Nathan progressively stayed in the camper longer and longer. And became worse. He took apart the microwave and he was trying to reassemble it. He was not coming out, not really talking to anybody. He actually ended up urinating in bottles. He was going downhill mentally.
One member of the family told me that he was being bullied by another kid and he pulled a knife on the kid. At that point, I was thinking to myself that he might hurt himself.
We did research, Linda did most of it, as to these camps that help individuals that have obsessive behavior. The camp sent 2 men to take Nathan in the middle of the night. He did not want to go.
I wonder if he went, why didn't he go to school?
He was very anxious, pleaded.
Get him in school.
Yelling, screaming. It's terrible, terrible. Well, we had to let him go. And so they physically took him to Utah.
This is an 11-page letter that Nathan had written to his priest. The spread between my mother and I widened to equal the spread between heaven and hell. The way some parents are committed to having their children grow up to be doctors or lawyers, my mother's dream is to have a nonverbal autistic child drooling in her living room, whose diapers she can change until she grows old. My mother's pursuit of that dream and her bullying characterized my childhood.
When he came home, he had a breakdown, really. He was having some problems about the church, the devil. Our decision was made for us, really. But something had to be done. We took him to Middlesex Hospital in Middletown. They held him on a psych home. Nathan was supposed to be alone getting therapy, yet John would be there every day. He brought him newspaper every day, he brought pizza to him, which would really annoy Linda. We met as a family, John, myself, and Linda, to discuss Nathan. That did not go real well. We would take him out, and that was it. John said he was going to cut the money. Linda said she didn't want the money. He came at her, started to slap her.
Linda wanted him to be institutionalized. John wasn't having it.
My dad, I don't think, wanted to accept that. Nathan was terribly sick. Truthfully, mental illness ran in the family. Every generation was passed down.
This is your Auntie Kiki again. Want me to sing you a Greek song?
My father had a twin sister.
Is that me?
She had depression or some type of mental illness.
My mother would sleep all day during the day, didn't want me to go to school. You know, I used to walk to the elementary school. I used to say to her, Mom, I have to go to school. No, stay here with me. She would cry and she would, so she was suffering from bad depression. And they finally, you know, through doctors and everything, they said, look, she needs to go into the hospital. Back then, they gave people shock treatments and really fried them. I remember when I was talking to John, he said, what they did to my sister was deplorable.
Back then they were very barbaric. And so that must have really been tough on my dad to have his twin sister, you know, hospitalized.
I think that gave
for
people
mental
a real
illness.
negative
Even though things have changed, I think he still kept that picture in his mind.
mental health back then
That's
too.
why he was resisting.
A lot of
Nathan
people from
going
this
into treatment.
generation, they view mental health and it's totally different.
Hey, big guy, I guess if you're watching this, you're watching this. You haven't been in this house, not even to wash your hands after fishing. This house is very important to me, has a lot of memories, has a lot of history, and I feel it really needs to stay in the family with somebody who does and will cherish it as much as I do. I'm leaving the house in Middletown to Michael. Grandpa is leaving you more than enough assets, and you are the sole inheritor of my trust and everything that's in there. So you have more than enough. I love you with all my heart, and that's my decision.
It's just so confusing.
He wasn't his mother or his father. And my Uncle John shows up and he has Nathan with him. They're standing at the door. And I open the door, he comes in and he goes, I need you to do something for me, you know. I go, okay. And he goes, Nathan needs to live here. Nathan, he was getting money from John. I would probably say around $100,000 a year. John said to him, you're going to go to college full-time now, you're going to get a part-time job, and he goes, it's over. No more funding, this is what you have to do, and that's going to be the end of it. But Nathan, he wouldn't do it. He didn't have the discipline. He started staying up late at night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'd hear him pacing around up there. And you could tell that he needed medication because he'd become very agitated. But Nathan goes, I refuse to take any medication whatsoever. I'm not going to a therapist. I'm not going to a psychiatrist. And he goes, my mother, you know, thinks I belong in the nut house and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, I had enough. And then he took off out the door in the middle of a snowstorm, hauling down the road.
If someone has a major diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder, but they refuse to accept the fact that they have a serious mental illness as well, that can be catastrophic, often with deadly consequences.
Developing news, we now know police have executed a search warrant at the home of Nathan Carmen.
Very shortly before the homicide, Nathan purchased the weapon out of state with an out-of-state driver's license.
Exhibit 23, the invoice from Shooter's Outpost. Did you purchase this 6-hour semi-automatic assault weapon on November 11, 2013?
I'm going to plead the fifth in response to that question.
He refused to answer any questions about it. He refused to produce the weapon. And at this juncture, law enforcement, to my knowledge, has no idea what that weapon is. Not only that, but the ammunition used in that weapon matched what was recovered from the crime scene of John Chocolo's homicide.
What boiled my blood is the fact that they're making a lot of assumptions of fact. It's not even conjecture.
It could have been 600 different guns that had that same shell. 600 types of guns.
The one thing that definitely stuck out to me as an investigator was this was a weapon that he lied about owning and possessing.
Going back to one of her things, you had another gun. You mentioned something about air gun or something like that?
I had an air rifle.
Any other purchases of a firearm at any time?
If it wasn't him, and it wasn't the weapon that he purchased that was used as the murder weapon for Chakalos, he was given ample opportunity to remedy that lie, to correct that deception.
At the Windsor police station after your grandfather was dead, did you lie to the Windsor police? Not a complicated question, Nathan.
With respect to that question, if you want to be more specific, then I'll answer, but otherwise I'm worried about
Well, I'll give you a piece of paper. Why don't you list all the lies that you made to the Windsor police? Would that be easier to be specific? How often did you lie to the Windsor Police Department?
There was one inaccurate. I'm pleading with him.
Initially, I defended Nathan when I police questioned because they told me it was him right away. And they go, do you think he had anything to do with it? Kept saying that to me, and I go, I don't think so. I go, because why? I mean, how would he be better off? I came to find out later that he got money from an insurance policy. As soon as he gave the death certificate, he received a substantial amount of money that didn't have to go through probate.
I think one of the biggest pieces of evidence in this case is he sent a memo to his grandfather's trust and estates attorney prior to his grandfather's death with very specific questions, unbelievably specific questions, and many of them. It essentially came down to, who has to die first and when in order for me to inherit the money. I think this was a murder with one motive. It's so that Nathan Carmen can have money.
They want to attribute a money motive to Nathan for the death of John Chakalos, but they don't really go into the fact that Nathan Carmen's grandfather was supporting Nathan, bought him a truck, paid his rent, gave him money, took care of everything, took care of school.
Who was the person that least benefited from John Chakalos' death? Nathan Carmen. Least benefited.
That's what I was thinking from the very beginning.
To this day, believe him, there was no involvement. He was never charged, nor was he arrested.
We never were able to get an arrest warrant signed. There was one submitted. The assistant chief state attorney denied it.
People had been through a trial and put on death row for less evidence than what they had on Nathan. And I just thought that was just insane. Why wasn't he even arrested?
Like, what evidence? Like, she's trying to like stick to the facts.
After the Chakalos homicide, a priest at the parish at which the Chakalos family attended, he was informed by his assistant that Nathan Carmen and Linda Carmen were outside in the church. The father went out and he found Nathan kneeling on the altar with his hands outstretched, praying to God. Linda was sitting in the back of the church, watching. This went on for about 5 hours. At one point, the father approached behind and somewhat close enough to hear what Nathan was saying. Nathan was begging for forgiveness. He was begging God for forgiveness.
wonderful mom. From the moment Nathan was born, Linda was trying to do the best for him. That's how her life was. Just trying to help her son. She would see something in Nathan and then search and read about it, find a specialist constantly. Nathan loved his mom. They had a very special relationship. She tried to be with him as much as she could. She was trying to help. She didn't want Nathan to go through what she did when she was growing up. All the negativity, all the yelling in the house, physicality. But as he got older, he just backed out of it. He backed away. She wanted to have a better relationship with Nathan. And I think that's the right decision.
After John's death, Nathan, can't say he was a horrible owner. He was himself. In that he bought property in Vermont. He was studying and learning how to do all the plumbing. He did the remodeling inside. He did it all on his own.
This massive, house that was under construction, ripped down to the studs. Kind of surprising anyone would live there.
Because the family was entirely against him and felt that he was the one that had murdered John, I believe I guess, immerse himself into something and concentrate on building his property up. He was trying to get in business.
In his mind, he was going to be a wealthy man. He was going to be a developer, building big, multi-floor mansions and skyscrapers and whatever. And that wasn't going to happen. Before I moved to Florida, I stopped at Linda's house. I said to her, look, Linda, everybody knows that the alibi that Nathan gave is not true. No one believes that story. She goes, he's my son. She goes, I'm his mother. He's my only child. And she was very shaken up by it. I mean, she was in tears. And she kept saying, he's my son. He's my son. I mean, you could physically see that it was taking a toll on her. I think in my mind, I think that within the next month or two, she was getting ready to fold up. And I said, and you have to be worried because you're a loose end. Before I left, I said, you better never go out on that boat again with that kid because if you do, he's going to be the only one coming back. Something's going to happen to you out there, and that's going to be the end of you. And she said to me, she goes, you're not the only one that said that to me. And that was the last time I ever saw her.
Oh shit. What if it was him?
The ocean is vast. The ocean is enormous. And when you talk about the ocean as being a crime scene, it just gets deeper and deeper and deeper.
When did you notice that the chicken pox was taking on water?
Around midday on September 18th. The engine sounded different to me, and therefore I wanted to check the engine, and I opened the hatch door of the pilot house and observed a large quantity of water on the bench.
That'd be scary.
And then what did you do?
Then I asked my mom to bring in the fishing lines.
You didn't tell your mom that you had 2 feet of water in the boat?
No, I thought she would panic if I told her.
So you got 2 feet of water in the boat. Rather than tell your mom to put on a life jacket, you told her to bring in the fishing lines. That's your testimony?
I asked my mom to bring in the fishing lines.
But bringing the fishing lines was more important at that moment than putting on a life jacket?
I've asked myself, did I do the right thing? I know at the time what I was thinking was I need, one, the lines need to come in, 2, I need to keep my mom occupied while I'm trying to fix the problem. I didn't think the boat was going to sink.
Boats don't do that. Boats don't just drop out from under you, sink bow first, the way he described it, and disappear into the abyss of the ocean.
What happened to his mom? Like, I don't understand how...
Opening statements took place at a Providence courtroom today in the trial of Nathan Carmen.
An insurance company is suing Carmen, who filed an insurance claim for his boat and sunk off the coast of Point Judith back in 2016.
What surprises me the most to this day, and it surprised me since the beginning of this, is why he filed an insurance claim. If he hadn't filed a claim, he was going to be a free man.
So
I believe the insurance company was getting ready to pay the claim. And this is when we spoke with people at Ram Point Ranch. That day, he had spent the entire day working on the boat. The day he went offshore with his mother. There was a gentleman that was sitting on the dock that day.
I didn't see any fishing poles. I didn't even see him with food. It kind of caught my eye when I saw him leaning over the back and drilling 2 holes.
He saw Nathan Carmen. He's bending over and reaching to the back of the boat with a drill in his hand that had a hole saw bit on it. He removed the trim tabs from the boat that day. Trim tabs are metal flaps that are affixed to the stern of the boat. By taking the trim tabs off, he created a situation where there were holes.
Boaters work on their boats all the time. They do things to them probably shouldn't be done. They drill holes, they fill them.
If you were going to plan something like this, right, and you were going to deal with the trim tabs, would you do that when there's 2 or 3 or 4 people watching you do this? Or would you do it in the middle of the night?
I think he wanted to be seen making these repairs, taking these trim tabs off. This gave him a reason for why the boat sank.
The guy whose scheme is to kill his grandfather, wait 3.5 years to kill his mother, then presents a claim for $85,000. You'd have to be moronic to do that.
Nathan Carmen breaking his silence after days of testimony in a civil trial against the insurance company for a sunken boat, the Chicken Pox.
Firstly, we don't know what caused the boat to sink. Secondly, this isn't about money. I almost feel like I have a responsibility to my mom to make sure that the truth comes out. And Mr. Farrell of the insurers, Boat US, made claims against me that are so tremendous, I don't feel like I can walk away. That's all I have to say.
Nathan Carmen will not receive the insurance money for his boat, the Chicken Fox. A federal judge has determined Nathan Carmen's boat sank either directly or indirectly because of his faulty repair. Down to how he repaired 4 holes he made the morning of the boat's last voyage.
That insurance company had the resources that the police didn't have, and that was his downfall. Once the insurance company fought the claim and he lost that court case, they handed over all the information, and then the investigation clicked up 4 or 5 notches. Now the feds are involved.
28-year-old Nathan Carmen has been arrested for the murder of his mother, Linda Carmen. According to the unsealed indictment, Nathan allegedly killed his mother on the high seas and sunk his own boat.
The indictment even goes so far as to say he murdered his own grandfather too. All of this allegedly over inheritance.
Nathan was charged with murder on the high seas. I felt relief because I knew that was a weight off of my family. We wanted to make sure Nathan was punished, that he was found guilty, and he would never be allowed to do anything like this again.
After a 6-year FBI investigation, Nathan was charged in federal court with engaging in a long-term, very calculated scheme to ensure that he would be the beneficiary of the wealth of his grandfather.
I'm guilty. The problem is there was no scheme. There never was a scheme. I have a godson, the same exact age as Nathan, who has the same autistic stressors that Nathan has.
Nathan Carmen, we're here to see him.
Whatever I have to do within the bounds of law, I am going to do. I had a double bypass a year and a half ago. My doctor says, don't get involved. I said to my doctor, if I got to die in the courtroom with this case, getting this kid the justice he deserves, so be it.
And you say that you were at sea in this life raft for approximately 7 days after the boat sank. Is that correct?
Yes, I was at sea in the life raft for 7 days after the boat sank.
There's no way that he was in that life raft for the period of time that he said that he was in that life raft.
And what stands out to me in this picture is that Nathan is gripping onto the rail on both sides of the ladder. Can't help but wonder, after 7 days in a life raft, how he's able to do that.
Your body is just not going to be able to manage the ebb and flow and the bouncing and the lack of vision on the horizon.
Dude, I would
Physiologically, there's no way
I
he
would-
would have been able
I
to
probably wouldn't,
move like he's moving.
I don't know if I would last very
In all
long.
likelihood, he would not have been able to swim and climb those stairs without assistance, because he would not have been on his feet for 7 days. He would not have been using those muscles. He would
I
not
don't know
have
about
had the
that.
stamina.
I feel like there may have been some nausea. I don't really know.
Thank you for coming up, David
Yeah,
Sullivan.
David, very nice to meet you. I did see the expert said his dexterity was too great to have been at sea for 7 days. Again, I'm going to disagree. In that situation, when you know that's your potential rescue, possibly your only rescue, you know, your adrenaline's going to kick up no matter how exhausted you are. And I've been in those situations where extreme heat conditions in Iraq, guys are dehydrated, they're exhausted, and when we had an extract under contact, you saw the guys almost pop out of that exhaustion, that dehydration, and they go in.
What did you have in the emergency ditch bag?
I remember there being data Rex, emergency food rations. I remember there being a water maker, a handheld emergency water maker.
So he was hydrated.
He's got, in his life raft, a machine, a device that he had purchased that would turn salt water into drinkable water. I've never known anyone, in my experience, on a recreational boat, on a 30-foot boat, that has an emergency water maker.
What I took away from reading the account of the boat sinking is that on the one hand, you had Nathan's systematizing that trait of autism to have structure and planning. That was on display in the fact that Nathan thought through everything he would need in a survival raft. He had that on a boat that didn't require it. Autistic people like me, and by extension, people like him, those traits to have structure and planning are part of our autism. But you know, people tend to think we are up to something, we're tricky, we're devious, or we're just dummies.
At a certain time, so after I had what I called lunch, I was having quote unquote brunch, because the life raft the food packs said to eat 4 per day, and so I was spacing that out throughout the day. I did spot the Orient Lucky around midday when I stood up in the life raft and looked around.
Science tells us that there is no way, based on the narrative that he told us, that he could have sank at the time he sank, where he sank, even roughly, even loosely, and end up where he ended up and where he was recovered at sea.
Coast Guard can figure out how something will drift based on the size of the vessel, the weight of the vessel.
That's something
Drift analysis. It's a
should definitely
refined
be taken
science.
into consideration. Because I feel like
Wind,
they really do
current,
know
sea temperature, all of those
about
factor
these
in.
currents.
And all of those are monitored multiple times a day at various
There's
points
a
throughout the
pretty,
ocean. There's buoys in the water. There are, sensors on satellites.
The drift analysis
information on that.
tells us the pattern of drift would have taken him east to west,
That's against the current.
which would have put Nathan somewhere down here. But definitely not over here.
I don't know. 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 I don't know
he would have been 80 miles in the opposite direction. He had sank the flood.
His drift analysis expert said he should have been heading toward New Jersey instead of where he claimed he ended up. Have you had a chance to look at that?
I did. With the drift analysis, again, the reason I put very little weight is what's the cross current, what are the winds doing, what's the current underneath the surface. There's so many variables that can refute. I believe it was one buoy. You know, really pulling all this data. Ultimately, it's a imprecise science.
In legal terms, we always refer to that as junk science.
I wouldn't put this in the bucket of junk science. These instruments out there are research grade. They're relied upon very heavily for, you know, some of the world's leading climate research. And, you know, one of the sort of rules of thumb about data within ocean science or science in general is that data doesn't lie.
When I first spotted the Orient Lucky, I wasn't sure that it was a ship, because all I saw looked like a white mass standing up on the horizon. And my first thought was actually Rogue Wave, but I realized that it was too narrow, and that So I actually went back into the life raft, took a second for myself, and then popped back out, just like make sure I'm really seeing this.
think that Nathan Carmen knew that that ship was coming out of Providence and it was going on that course for an extended period of time before he entered the life raft. I don't think he entered that life raft until he knew the owner left he was going to get him.
I believe that Nathan was only in the life raft for a matter of hours and not days as he described it. Hours.
I just, I guess he wanted to start, like, he had the cards, like, he wanted to be, like,
The
a
raft is inflated. The
contractor
canopy
like
is
his
inflated.
dad.
The next photo is Nathan in the water. The canopy is collapsed. Raft is starting to lose air. Attempts were made to locate the raft, but the raft was never located. Presumably, Nathan took some sort of action to sink the raft. He had a knife on him in his life vest, and he could have just cut it.
My interpretation of it at the time was that Nathan did not want us to see the condition of the life raft, what was still on the life raft, what equipment he did or didn't have on the life raft, because it may very well demonstrate that he was not on that life raft for 7 days.
Man, it really looks like he did it.
If he wasn't in a life raft for 7 days, which I believe he was not, then where was he?
I'm just,
I think
there's
the
a few
most
things that kind of,
plausible scenario is that
I don't know.
shortly after Judas
I think the fact that
he killed his mother,
he wanted the
At some
construction
point,
business. The construction
disposed of
business,
her body. Most likely somewhere
that kind
nowhere
of
near
gives him
Long Island.
motive.
Nowhere near the Coast Guard was searching for a good week. Down south somewhere, you know, the Atlantic area, Long Island.
He could hide in plain sight because he knew that the Coast Guard weren't looking along the coast. They weren't looking in marinas.
Location of a boat.
Motored along to his own area of refuge. He was familiar with the Connecticut coastline and the perimeter of Block Island. There were any number of nooks and crannies and places that he could hide himself and the boat.
And then towards the end of the week, after the Coast Guard had called off their search, he gets in the chicken pox, guns it out to the open ocean.
He then
I'll take a picture of my eyes in just a few moments here.
He would have sunk the boat shortly before the freighter came within view, so that he would be properly positioned to become rescued immediately.
How in God's name does he do
I'll do
that?
it multiple times.
Did he disappear? Did he hide under a tree? Did he hide under a rock? What's the kid going? Here, there, he's evading the Coast Guard. That's what they're saying. And did he plan that this Chinese junk ship that just happened to be going by, it almost
I'll
ran
take
him
another
over?
picture here in a moment.
He would be picked up. It's nonsense.
That's,
The ocean as a crime scene is a challenging environment. Evidence is lost and destroyed in a matter of seconds.
I'm just trying to think, like, if it was somebody else that did it,
That the odds were enormously
like, how,
high that law enforcement would never be able to find.
like, let's say it was a different family member, like, how could they, like, I don't think, like, whoever killed his father,
Linda's body is
like, you'd be like, hey, yeah, there's
and
maybe,
it could well be that
another
the
family
weapon used
member,
to kill John Chunkalos is at the bottom of the ocean.
but Nathan got the boat by himself, nobody, like, told him to do that, he went out there, and
The ocean's a place, carries a lot of
that's,
secrets.
like,
There's no surveillance, no cameras, no iPhones.
that's kind of, that kind of makes it, like, yeah.
My foot was pushing the deck down rather than the ground pushing up against me. That's what it felt like just for a moment. And I remember being in the water and seeing the roof of the wheelhouse sliding away. Like, that's what happened.
And where was your mother?
I did not see my mom.
Well,
What happened
what
to
did you
his
hear?
mom?
What did she say?
I didn't hear anything.
The boat's sinking, your mother still doesn't say anything? That's your testimony?
My testimony is that I did not hear my mom. I can't say whether I can say I didn't hear her.
And you didn't see her?
When I was in the water, I did not see her. That's correct.
Your mother's a strong swimmer, isn't she?
Yes, she was.
And she's very safety conscious, right?
That's correct.
Did she disappear?
Objection, the question is ambiguous.
We begin at 5 with a shocking update on a case we've been tracking for years. The man charged with killing his mother off the coast of Rhode Island has died.
What?
Nathan Carman was found unresponsive in his cell overnight. Jail officials say Nathan Carman took his own life while awaiting a murder on the high seas trial.
He controlled how he was going to murder my father. He controlled how he was going to murder my sister. He didn't want to spend the rest of his life in prison. And so, he controlled taking his own life. He went out on his own terms.
The autopsy said that he committed suicide by hanging from his shoelaces.
I don't know, like if I
I
don't think it's a good
suicide note. There was no premonition. There was no foreboding of that in his attitude. He was upbeat up until that point. So I was totally in shock. Go to trial and get a just hard to accept. I still don't. There is no way that Nathan could have killed his mother.
Who killed his dad?
It's incongruous with everything that was innate in both Linda and Nathan. He never harmed a soul.
Hey, Nathan James, I love you too much.
We mourned the loss of Nathan as a child. And everything he went through. But we did not mourn what he did. We felt, however it happened, justice is done. Linda had said, I can only control my actions. I can't control anybody else's actions.
And he didn't take a lie detector test? I don't know, he didn't.
You don't have a feeling, so do as you will. I don't know.
People try to blame it on Linda. They say, well, you know, his mother didn't do this or didn't do that. Linda did the best job she could. I think she was a good mother. I mean, she cared about the kid. She loved the kid. That was her only son. I think she looked at her complicity in it, and she was saying, you know, whatever happens to me, happens to me. Maybe she figured this is a way I don't have to turn on my son. And she went to meet her fate.
suspect has been arrested. It's intriguing. That was certainly interesting. Okay, I'm gonna do some cleaning. In my head right now. Yeah, there's a bunch of holes. These are actually really nice jeans, man. I actually love these jeans. There's just lots of holes in them. I'm not wearing underwear, sorry. Ah, fuck, man. Oh, alright. Let's get this tidied up. Some gloves on. I'm a little sad today. So